The silence, spoke about this afternoon, the silence itself is probably the deepest element, of what happens when we open inside ourselves. Because it's in that silence that there really is the Om sound. And that sound is us really going to the source of all creative energy. And the silence is so profound, and it only can exist when the mind is quiet, the emotions are quiet, we're centered, we're balanced inside ourselves. And that silence literally guides us to a state of spiritual enlightenment. It's an amazing thing because in order for the silence to be there, our hearts have to be open. It can't be all caught up in that emotional drama and all the entanglements that go on with anger and fear and all that stuff that goes on in everyday life. So it's really an extraordinary element, just the silence that's in people, after this meditation class comes to an end. But if anyone has a question, I'll really be happy to answer it. Questions are great. As I say, they always add something very profound to the meditation session.
Stuart, this is Emma. I have a question.
Yes, Emma.
In Rudy's book, he wrote, there is only one thing more important than finding a great teacher, and that is leaving him. Could you speak about the relation between teacher and student and any dangers that might be related between that?
Well, there's no danger in that. From the day I met Rudy, he prepared me to leave him. And he always told me, Stuart, you can be a third-rate Rudy or a first-rate student. His job was to train me to build a system inside myself in which I was prepared to move on in life. And yes, I left him. I was in an airplane crash with him. It was one of the most traumatic moments of my life. He was the person I loved more than anybody else in the world. And, he had taken his samadhi. You understand? And the first thing that came to me when I was on the top of that mountain, and I realized that he really had passed on. Now you'll find out what the last 6 years were really all about. Did you learn what you were supposed to learn from him? Did you prepare yourself? Did you get your training? I'll never forget. That was the first thing that came into my head. I also was infinitely grateful that he took me with him at the moment that he left the world. So, there is a point where, but the job of a teacher is to train people and prepare them for that. He sent me to Denton, Texas. It was preparation for that. He asked me to run ashrams there. And my God, I had my hands full with ashrams all over Texas. But they were never for me. He used to come down and say, Rudy, here are your students. These are not my students. These are your students. And all of that was in preparation for that day that we hit, a mountain in an airplane. When he left the world and I had to make choices. Will I continue? Will I not? The choices were very clear to me. Out of infinite gratitude to this extraordinary being who saved my life and put me on a path to God. My choice was that I have to work and develop myself and truly get to a place where I can carry on this work and I can truly use it to nurture other people and prepare them for the same kind of reality. So there's always the leaving of the teacher. And there's another leaving of the teacher, which is ego and self-importance, and I want to do my thing, and that's just bullshit, It's just all stuff in the brain and emotions and competition, and I've had this all my life with people, But that leaving in a state of complete surrender, leaving in a state where, you really have to come to terms with yourself. Did I really learn what I was there to learn? And that's what I had to learn from Rudy. And that's what he prepared me for from the day I met him. He kept telling me, you can be a third-rate Rudy or you can be a first-rate Stuart. Don't try to be me. Grow, get your own unique connection with God. He always told me, don't worship the guru. I'll never forget when Muktananda was giving that talk in Big Indian about the guru being God. And if you worship the guru, you will find your path to enlightenment. And he was sitting behind me, whispering in my ear, God is God. The best the guru can be is the servant of God and the servant of his students. I mean, what a lesson that I have carried with me all my life. All of that was in preparation for when that plane hit the mountain. And was I ready to move on in my life? Or did I think I've arrived and I became some kind of great teacher? I didn't. I needed 20 more years of training in Denton, Texas, in New York, and God knows all over the place, traveling around the world, teaching endlessly, doing this meditation and inner work. Then it went beyond ego and me having to do my own thing, And, I can't tell you how many people I've had in my life who I'm going to go do your thing. I'm going to say, look, it's not my business. Do whatever you got to do. Go do your thing. I mean, to me, from the moment I met Rudy, he was preparing me for the day that plane hit the mountain. When truly it was a level of surrender that was so deep that I never experienced anything like it in my life before. Of truly having to leave. But on what level did I leave? With a commitment to being a servant of God for the rest of my life. Not the way I wanted it to be, but the way God wants it to be. I hope that's clear because there's so much of that goes on. And my understanding of being with Rudy, even from the day I met him, is I got to learn this. Whatever it takes and whatever I have to do, I have to learn this. And it took going through the University of Schmuckdom, beginning to realize that I knew nothing and I had so much to learn. And that's something that has stayed with me to this day, that I know nothing and I have so much to learn. And being around Rudy for 6 years was a constant reminder that I knew nothing and I had so much to learn. And being with that to me today enables me to do what I'm doing today. That I have so much to learn. So yes, there is a point where we have to leave the teacher, but that point has to be organic. It can't be, spitting in the eye of the teacher or the student. It's got to be an organic thing. To me, it was, honestly, when we hit the mountain. And I had to make very profound decisions in myself. I mean, it was extraordinary. But I also got the training. And that training carried me through years of my life, where literally I was one page ahead of everyone who studied with me until it became real and secure and deep and of such a profound nature, that it enabled me to continue doing what I used to do and what I'm doing today. And I never took for granted this meditation or ever said to myself, Stuart, you're more than, you graduated from the University of Schmuckdom to be a person who truly is, learning how to live with a connection to higher energy in the universe and learning how to serve that connection. This took years of learning. And without the training I got from Rudy, I could have never gotten that. Now, I'm not saying that everybody will do this, I'm saying that I recognized when I was very young this incredible opportunity, and I wasn't going to lose it. And it's also one of the reasons I want this COVID thing to come to an end. So I can start having classes in person with people, doing hands-on work with them, training them, developing people that in the future can be teachers of this work and can pass this work on to another generation of people that really want to have a spiritual life. That's my job. My job is to give it away. That's really my job, is to give it away. I'm not getting any younger. God knows, it's kind of a miracle I've lived as long as I've lived. And and my job, and the reason for it is I have to give it away. But these are just my life experiences. Understand? How did I leave Rudy? We hit a mountain. He sent me to Denton, Texas. I came to visit him, asked me to go with him to this commune up in the, up near Albany. And we were flying in a plane. We hit a mountain. And the very thing that happened was like an allegory. I don't know, I wrote a book called, it's called The Mystical Ferry Boat now and other stories. And there's a story in there called Rudy, which is the story of that airplane crash. And I can't tell you when I moved back to New York, how many versions of that airplane crash I heard from people that would come into my gallery. I would sit there, my mouth was open. I would listen to people telling me all these stories. And I was there. And that was the moment, you understand, where that separation took place. But it was also the moment of rebirth for me, because it demanded such a profound commitment to this that I have never knew that kind of commitment before. And each of us has that kind of rebirth in their own unique way. I'm not saying you got to get into a plane with me and crash into the Catskill Mountains. Who knew that that was going to happen? But with each human being, it's a unique experience. And then they have to make that commitment inside about what their life is going to be all about. And the greatest joy in my life, honestly, is giving it away, seeing people growing, seeing people taking it deep inside themselves, seeing people that may potentially, sometime in hopefully the near future, become teachers of this work and have students and pass it on to a new generation of people so that this miracle, this work that we do, which is a miracle, continues and stays in the world. It always brings a tear to my eye talking about this, so profound and powerful. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? I mean, I can't tell you the joy, I shouldn't say this, but I will say, seeing my daughter in this class. I mean, it's amazing to me, passing this on to another generation. My heart just fills. It's like, there's no limit to the joy in my heart, just seeing that. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? And bless you all for being here. Did you have a question, Soren? No.
Sure, yeah. I've been wondering about balance the last couple of classes. Talk about balance.
No, balance is in chi. Balance is in the chakra below the navel. Balance is using the mind as a surgical instrument to develop that chakra. And once you develop that chi inside yourself, there will be balance. If you stay in your head, there will never be balance. It's always conflict, polarity, opposites. If you stay in your emotions, there will never be balance. Emotions are like a human swampland, it's like once you get into the third chakra, the chakra below the navel, and you can keep your attention focused there and using your mind, as an instrument to develop that chakra, you will get balance inside yourself. You will get rootedness, you will get foundation, you will get strength like you never dreamed you've had in your life. I mean that. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? I mean, if you want to find out about Rudy, I probably go just read that book. It's probably the best book I've ever written, that story. It's incredible. It's literature, and it'll give you such a deep insight into what my relationship was with Rudy. I know many of you have read it, and if you haven't, I suggest, I'm not trying to sell my books. I'm trying to give you, a place where you can find the kind of relationship because it's not just about that airplane crash. It's about what it really means to have a spiritual teacher. That's what that book is really about. That story, it's part of an anthology now called The Mystical Ferry Boat and Other Stories. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? Well, God bless you all. And I can only say thank you for being here, for being part of this session tonight. And what this session brought out is so deeply profound and touches me so deeply that, I'm here to learn. And I learn because all of you are here. I grow because all of you are here. And I'm just very grateful to participate in this with all humility. It's an extraordinary thing that has taken place here. So God bless you all. And there'll be a class on Sunday, and I'm looking forward to seeing everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stuart.
Thank you, Stuart. God bless you.
Thank you, Stuart. Thank